Okay, this is a quick showcase of the timer overhaul that I've been working on for the past month, essentially. So here's the main idea, right? The previous timer interface I always thought was firstly, it was a bit too clunky, and secondly, it was missing two important features, which are edit and full screen. I'll go into these very shortly. But first, let's talk about what's changed in the main page, right? So what I've done is that I've tried to match the theme of the timer section to the theme that we have in alarm and in world clock, right? So by that, it means that I'm using basically the same structure. I'm using the same delete button. And in general, I've pretty much used a lot of code from these two to make this happen. Secondly, the other more important thing that I've added is the full screen functionality, which was requested in another issue. So basically, this is how it looks like running. And if you pause it, it's gonna take away the expected end time, and it's gonna play the pause animation. And if we resume it, it's gonna update the ending time, the expected ending time, and it's gonna continue running. There's also a reset button, which does exactly what you'd expect. In full screen, if the timer has a name, like we have over here, it's gonna show up in the subtitle of the title bar. Not very large, but it gets the job done. This is also responsive, just like what we have in world clock, to fit smaller dimensions of the window. And moving on, the ring works, as you can see. And we also have an edit functionality, which is the second main thing that I want to talk about. So the basic idea here is that if I have a timer, for example, let's call it, if I have, for example, a 25-minute timer, we can call it Pomodoro or whatever, or 30-minute timer, right? We can call it Pomodoro, and instead of, if I like make it and I want to go back and like, if I change my mind, before having edit, what I would have to do is to delete this and then go here and then add the timer again, and then pause it, reset it, and edit the name, and then start playing it, which is obviously not very efficient. What I can do now is as follows, right? I can just click on edit. It already fills in the information from the timer, and I can give it a name, like the Pomodoro technique, whatever. And it's going to show up here, and it's going to start just as expected, right? So if I try to edit this again, it's going to load in that name. I can change it again. I can change the duration however I wish, and it's still going to work. And another thing is that the presets also work, so that's also an option. So another thing that I have changed in the edit panel and in the new timer panel is that now you can actually put in a name while creating the timer, which should speed up the process for heavy timer users like me who are constantly thinking of new ways to use timers. So that works. There is a bug, and this bug was not caused by this specific contribution. It was actually present since when the sorting mechanism was introduced. So as you can see, my timer does have sorting, right? So whenever you play a timer, it automatically goes at the top, just like what we had before. But the only issue here is that if the timer at the top is paused, we can see right now that the pause animation is running, but if I run another timer that causes it to move, it's gonna stop blinking. It's still paused, and it still resumes, no problem, stuff like that. It still resets, but the pause animation just doesn't work. Same goes for when you start a timer, you pause it and then try to enter full screen. You can see that it's very clearly paused, as you can see in the buttons. but the blinking animation isn't working. Again, if you resume it, the correct behavior is going to show. You're going to have the expected ending time and the blue color, and if you pause it, you're going to get the blinking back, but it's just something that has been here. So I'll talk more about it in the pull request description, but just know that it's here. But other than this, pretty much everything is working as expected. I can have multiple timers, and if I like go into them, everything is gonna pretty much be like snappy and as expected, and everything rings and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, that's pretty much what I've done.